review finding slope from 2 points. And at the end of the lesson, you'll be able to explain what it means to calculate slope using 2 points. So as review, we know that slope is the change in y divided by the change in x. So that's what we were finding when we were graphing and counting slope triangles. So today we're going to use the same kind of idea, but this time we're just going to find it using the 2 points. So I have a graph here of a line, and I've already identified my 2 points, and I've written the coordinates of those 2 points. So the first one is 2, 4. I went over 2 and up 4. The second point is at 5, 6. So over 5 and up 6. So we could go ahead and find the slope of this line by counting our slope triangle. So if we did that, starting at the first point, we would go up 2 units. So my change in y would be 2, and we would go over 3 units. The change in x is 3. So my slope would be equal to 2/3. Now we know how to do that. But if we were not given a graph, another way to find that distance of our slope triangle, so the amount here that was 2, the change in y, we could take the point of our slope triangle, the tallest point, and for this one, the y value would be 6 at that point, and we can subtract the y value from the first point on the line, which was 4, and we can get our 2 that way, because we know that 6 minus 4 would give us the 2, equals 2. Okay. We also know that we could subtract our x values. So we ended up at 5 for our x value, and we started at 2. So 5 minus 2 gives me the 3. So 5 minus 2 equals 3. And look at that. It actually gives us our slope by doing the subtraction. So we have an equation that we use, and it works with any 2 points on a line to find the slope. And that equation, some of you may remember it, is y2 minus y1. So y2 minus y1, that's where we got the 6 minus 4 was 2, divided by x2 minus x1, just like we did here. 5 minus 2 gave us the 3. Okay, so we're going to be using this equation for slope to find the slope when we have 2 points. So let's go ahead and try it in action. So we're going to do an example. So our first example, we have the point 1, 1 and the point 5, 7. And these are on the same line. We want to know the slope for the line that these 2 points are on. So the first thing we need to do is identify what is our x1 and y1 and our x2 and y2. So the first point, here's my x, here's my y. Second point, here's my x, here's my y. Now the second point is always going to be my 2. So I'm going to put a subscript of 2 and a subscript of 1 for the first one. Okay, so they just go in order. This is always 1, this is always 2. Now we're going to go ahead and rewrite that equation so we know where to substitute it in. So our equation was y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And now we're going to substitute in those points. So my y2 value is my 7. My y1 value is my 1, so minus 1. So I'm subtracting, divided by my x2 value is 5. I'm subtracting the y1, which is 1. So now I'm going to go ahead and simplify. So 7 minus 1 is 6. 5 minus 1 is 4. Now here's my slope, but I can go ahead and simplify it down. So I know that 2 goes into both 6 and 4, so I'm going to divide both those by 2, and I end up with 3 over 2. And here is my slope. So that's the answer for this question. So now let's go ahead and look at your homework for tonight and do a couple of those together to get you started. So on the homework, again, you're given 2 points and we're going to use the equation. Let's go ahead and write it at the top. Slope is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. That way we have it right on our paper. And we can go ahead and start working out number 1. So on number 1, let's go ahead and identify it. We have x1, y1. We have x2 and y2. Now we're going to set it up like the equation. So y2 is a negative 9 minus y1, which is 3, over x2, which is 9, minus x1, which is 7. So now we're going to go ahead and simplify. Negative 9 minus 3, remember that this is the same thing as adding the opposite. So negative 9 plus negative 3 gives me negative 12. Divided by 9 minus 7 is 2. And then I can go ahead and simplify this down because 2 goes into both of these. And I end up with negative 6 divided by 1, which means that my slope is just negative 6. Okay, that's the first one. For the second one, we're going to do the same thing. So here is my x1, y1, my x2, y2. So let's go ahead and put it into the equation. So I know I need y2, which is 16, minus y1, which is negative 9. Now, because I have a negative and a minus sign here, I'm going to go ahead and put the negative 9 in parentheses so that I don't get confused. And I know that there's 2 negative signs there because it's subtracting a negative. Divided by 1, which is my x2, minus a negative 17. Again, I'm going to put it in parentheses just so I can keep those 2 signs separate. Now I can go ahead and start solving. So remember that when you subtract a negative, you are adding the opposite. So that becomes 2 positive numbers and I get 25. 16 plus 9 is 25. And then same thing here, I have to add the opposite and I get 1 plus 17 is 18. Now I don't have any numbers that go into both 25 and 18, so that is going to be my answer. Okay, so you're going to continue setting up your problem the exact same way for the rest of the homework. You're going to do odds tonight and then you'll do evens tomorrow night, so you actually have 2 days to finish the entire worksheet.